Hello, and welcome to our BigCommerce live stream. We are here in Austin, Texas from the BigCommerce headquarters, and today we're going to be talking all about Cyber Week 2023. With me, I have Megan Stabler. She's our Senior Vice President of Marketing at BigCommerce. And also, we have Matt Dornfeld, who is Senior Director and Head of Global Partnerships at Feedonomics. Welcome, both of you. Thanks for joining.
Hey, Melissa. Hey, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Hi, and thank you to everyone for tuning in. We're really excited to have this conversation today. There's so much going on out there. We've got some great industry data for you. We've got some BigCommerce and Feedonomics data to share and just have a good conversation. So let's get started, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right. Okay, so Megan, I think it'd be helpful for the audience if you help set the stage a little bit. What are some of the key factors that you've seen that have been sort of shaping the e-commerce landscape this year?
Yeah, I mean, what a rush I think it's been for everybody, every brand and retailer this past year, right? I mean, we're not that far out of the pandemic, right? We're sort of looking for people to adopt new technologies. We're looking for new ways to actually shape and get hold of the consumers, the shoppers, in ways that are relevant to them, that are personal to them. So, you know, brands and retailers have had to really adopt these technologies, whether it's subscriptions and loyalty programs and other things, and then figure out and make sure that they do have all of their supply chain ready to go and other things, and also plan for what used to be the peak holiday selling period, which is no longer just those few incidental days, right? So we've recognized that brands and retailers have actually started a little bit earlier, right? In the month of November, or even earlier in some places. October to go ahead and find those things, because we as consumers and shoppers have also started to search and look for those things. There's no longer the expectation. So, you know, it's been a strong adjustment for brands and retailers, A, to get their technology stack ready, and then B, to make sure that they're adjusting in real time to what demands are happening, how they see the consumer journey happening through their e-commerce website or through their loyalty programs, or that mix, which I think we're all back to nowadays, of blending online e-commerce with offline e-commerce. So ensuring they've had the BOPUS, right? Buy online, pick up in store, and then looking at the long tail. So, you know, congrats to all of you brands and retailers out there. You've had a massive year to get ready for this super holiday selling season. And, you know, there's just a lot that you've gone through, and you know, certainly for those of us that have been in e-commerce a long time, recognize the work that you've done and to get ready for this period. But you're right, we've got great stats to go ahead and talk about things.
Well, and just looking at the year leading up to the holiday season too, I mean, not to mention the macroeconomics. There's so much that consumers have been dealing with as well, with inflation, rising interest rates, all of that. So just a year that's been sort of standout and different from the past several. Matt, what about you? What's stand out for 2023 leading up to the season that you think has been influencing e-commerce?
Yeah, I mean, it's a number of things, of course, to Megan's point, and to yours actually, about, you know, macroeconomics. Macroeconomics don't just impact consumers, it also impacts a retailer who's trying to collect capital to deploy onto inventory ahead of the holiday season. And so, yeah, that impacts everybody. We've moved away a bit from the COVID challenge of where's my inventory? It's somewhere in the ocean, to, okay, do I have enough money to even buy inventory? And I think some brands have done that really well with a lot of pre-planning, and others have struggled and have gone out of stock at, you know, really impactful moments. That said, on the, you know, more broad brand side of things, we've really seen a lot of brands focus on the right channel selection for their brand. So am I existing in the right place? Am I engaging with consumers the right way in that place? Is that a connected experience? And more so, you know, there are a lot of channels that might have been more free bets, let's say, than strategic, more sure bets. And I think a lot of brands have said, okay, well, you know, one channel is really working for me, I'm going to double down on that. While maybe this other channel I really thought about could be like a good stretch exercise, becomes a 2024 topic, not a 2023 one. And so we'll continue to really probably see more of that and more strategic bets. But as the economy gets better, people start making bets again. And so we've started to see, you know, a comeback on advertising spend and performance across a number of channels, Meta included. And so I think that's generally a good sign in that people are starting to see performance on the channels that they're most familiar with. And then obviously to Megan's point, there's the offline online blending as well that I think is really exciting. A lot of these retailers are starting to roll out new services. So BOPUS is a huge one. but really leveraging brick and mortar locations as fulfillment centers as well.
Yeah.
And so that really enables a brand to move more quickly, deploy inventory to people that are local to those stores. And I think we'll see a lot more of that out of our the major retailers over the next year to come.
Right. Yeah. And I think the compound effect of this for experts and analysts going into the holiday season was it's a mixed bag. We don't really know what to expect, but the consensus in everything I read was really that it seemed that we would see sort of a return to pre-pandemic Cyber Week and holiday growth rates. I know that the NRF projection for the overall holiday season is between 3 and 4%. So, I also read some conflicting surveys, all valid, but it was like, X% of people do plan to shop Cyber Week. This, percentage of people want to skip Black Friday entirely. So I think that people didn't really know what to make of it. But now that the dust has settled and Cyber Week is behind us, we do know how things turned out.
Well, I mean, look at it this way. Consumers, shoppers are more savvy than ever before, right? Because of online presence, right? NRF also stated that 55% of shoppers were actually shopping a month ago, right? Looking for those good deals, and 35% actually went ahead and shopped during Thanksgiving week, right? So, consumers and shoppers are looking for those discounts early in the cycle, right? And as you talked about, the economic headwinds, right? Things that are happening, right? Consumer spending is down, inflationary issues and concerns are up. So, people are being a little bit more cautious about what to buy, what to spend on. And then when you talk about some of the things that you've seen from the Feedo side, right? Advertising costs have gone up as well, right? The cost to advertise is up there, and your ROAS is probably down as well, right? So getting your essential feeds and listings, right, and streamlined is going to be key for it. But, the consumers have the power, right? The consumers have the power. And, what I have seen a little change on is, the discounts that we used to get, the fact that I used to get up early Thanksgiving morning and go wait in line for brands, as we joked about previously, like Circuit City, and get that Xbox for my kid, right? Those deep discounts seem to have gone, right? We're seeing a sort of 10, 15, 20, sometimes a 30% discount. So consumers are more savvy, and there are more technologies available for them to go find them. So to your point, Matt, getting your product in front of the eyeball of the consumer in that emotional moment, if they're on Instagram or TikTok, is essential, not just for Cyber Week, right, or Black Friday, but throughout the entire year. So consumers are savvy, shoppers are savvy. We as e-commerce experts and people that are watching have to be more experienced about connecting to you and making sure that you're finding what you need in a way that is right for you at a time that is right for you on a device that is right now, and converting you with high conversion checkout, seamless, frictionless checkout. So lots of things that wrap into what's been going on.
Yeah, and we've seen too, ROAS has historically been the kind of the buzzword metric too, but especially in an environment like the one we're in, margin is super important. If I had a 10x ROAS and I was still losing $1, I'm still losing. It doesn't matter if my ROAS was 100x. But the focus on the right channel, and the right product, the right place, the right time, I think is for a lot of brands is doing them right. They're succeeding, and they're investing maybe not as a significant a discount, but enough that still attracts attention. And I think we saw in a number of different earnings reports some dips in consumer activity.
Right.
And that, I think, my perspective is people are waiting for a deal.
Yeah.
Like they're waiting for prices to drop.
Yeah.
They always drop around this time of the year. And to Megan's point, people are strategic. Like consumers are more savvy than they've ever been. There's more tools. There's more ways to shop than there's ever been before. And that's exciting as a strategy person, but maybe a little scary too if you're a brand and you're kind of new to the game, trying to catch up to what feels like a runaway train.
Well, and I think that too, from what we've seen, that is, sort of the fear or the worry from brands and retailers. Are people still going to shop during Cyber Week? Will the numbers be there? So let's get into some of this data. I want to just read a few numbers, hit on a few key points from what we saw industry-wide and with BigCommerce, and then we can kind of break some of this down. So again, congrats to all these brands and retailers on a successful Cyber Week. What we saw on the BigCommerce side was that our customers were up 10%. Our sales were up 10% year over year. And that's fantastic. That's actually surpassed industry data. When you look at the bigger picture, Salesforce reported a global increase of 6% GMV. And also we saw Adobe reported a 7.8% increase for the US. So again, it's that return to sort of those pre-pandemic growth rates for Cyber Week, but we're still talking record numbers. So it's really, we're starting to see these numbers stabilize a little bit. The other interesting thing that I saw is that shoppers, our BigCommerce, based on our BigCommerce customer data, shoppers were more active this year. We saw a 7% increase in total orders over the course of Cyber Week and a 3% increase in average order value, which I think is really interesting. I mean, all of this points to consumers' resilience, absolutely. Also, always want to call out what the biggest days were. It's still Black Friday and Cyber Monday. We saw that it was interesting because Black Friday was the biggest in terms of GMV and total orders, but Cyber Monday actually had the highest order values of the week, which basically means that shoppers were spending more on their purchases on Cyber Monday. I can attest to that. I actually ended up buying some home goods items. So
it may also be that they're buying bigger ticket.
Right, exactly.
One interesting note or trend maybe that I'm seeing is I'm on a variety of SMS lists for brands, and I'm still getting targeted today for Cyber Monday deals.
Yes,
which I thought was, I don't know if that's on purpose or maybe it's a new thing where they're trying to extend the life of a deal. But I noticed that, like, directly noticed more text messages specifically calling out the holiday long after the holidays actually concluded.
Right.
Are you guys seeing the same thing?
Absolutely the same thing, right? You can still take advantage of your Black Friday deal today, right? And it's extending the offers, right? And so I've also seen it creating that FOMO, right? The fear of missing out, right? Limited time countdown clocks or limited numbers of stock available. What I did was also purchase on Monday as well, right? But I had been looking for those discounts earlier, right? And then when I was realizing kind of the discount that I was hoping for wasn't going to come, it's like, okay, I'm still going to get a discount of some kind, so I'm going to go buy it. So I think also some of those shoppers started to look around, started to wait to see if deals would happen, right? And again, that comes back to my comment about the savviness of the shoppers, right? Too often we see discounts throughout the rest of the year happening, right? The Memorial Day, the 4th of July sales, and all these things. So there's an attunement by consumers to, I'm going to get a deal. And that 10% that you're offering off, or that 15%, it's no real difference to later on in the year. So it's in terms of the two buying habits that I've always talked about people, right? There's an emotional buying habit. I see you wearing that and I want that too, right? I have to have it. So there's the emotional thing. And then there's the I need it, right? You need to replace your pots and pans or crockware or whatever else is going on that you need something. So I think people on that emotional scale are still buying, but people on the needs are probably accelerate. I need to have something in place. I need to replace this that's broken. So those are the two styles that I have seen.
Yeah. Anecdotally, I did give into an Instagram ad that has been following me for months and finally made the purchase on Cyber Monday when it was half off.
Can you reveal what it was?
I bought some clothing from Free People. And a particular shirt I wanted was a Fleetwood Mac t-shirt made to look vintage, but not. I feel I've revealed too much at this point, so I'll stop there. But so I did that. Those were my two purchases. I did clothing for myself, selfishly, I suppose. And then I did do some of my home goods stuff from Amazon on Monday. I bought a couple gifts. What else did you buy? I know, Megan, you have a bit of a gnome obsession.
I did not buy any tomties. They are Scandinavian gnomes. So, actually, to be honest with you, for Cyber, Thanksgiving week, I was hiking in the north of England. So I had zero access to Wi-Fi unless I was sitting in a pub drinking a pint and something like that. But as soon as I was back over the weekend, then I was looking. And I won't go into what I bought because my 11-year-old is the one that I really bought electronics and stuff for, that she's been on the wish list. And she's on the cusp of naughty list versus wish list. So we'll see what happens on that stuff. But, I did take advantage of things, right? But because I've been Googling I am getting retargeted, just like you talked about, Matt. And I do think that's a good thing, right? We saw Amazon shift doing some of the QR codes, which I've been a hot on for the past 5 or 6 years here at BigCommerce. QR codes are going to make the come back. And with a QR code, the great thing with that is, even if somebody's just interacting now with that QR code, you're getting that information on that shopper and embedded into your customer journey and then into your retargeting. Now, we've talked about retargeting, and I'll sort of lay it out here. You've got to be conscious about the shopper. You want to turn that shopper into a buyer, not into a detractor from you. So there has to be a layer from e-commerce people about how often am I retargeting a person before I just need to give it some space. Maybe I'm going to come back in a month's time and retarget them. Or I'm going to find them like they did you on a different channel, right? And so the emails and the SMSs that are coming in, it gets to a point where I'm going to say delete report, right? I'm just done with this thing. But I do know that I'm being retargeted on other platforms, whether I'm not on TikTok, but I am on Instagram, right? And I'm going to see certain things come up and go, you caught my cookie. Now I see what you're doing and you're trying to get me. And then if I'm in that emotional space versus the need space, then yeah, you know what? Maybe I'm going to buy it if you're offering me a discount that I think it's worthwhile to go ahead and purchase in the moment.
Yeah, you got to be ready to receive the offer. Right. And I think a lot of channels for sure, and how they distribute content. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment. And the brands themselves, they have to be really thoughtful about that. Like, is the role of the brand to be a friend? Is it to be someone who's supporting and educating? Is it to be direct selling? And I think it changes, to your point, Megan, about the channel that is being used to distribute that message, because you may catch someone on a different part of that journey, which directly impacts whether someone's going to convert then, or build that up over time, or completely disrupt the process and actually kick them out of the flow altogether, which is really worst case scenario.
Yeah, I do want to take a moment. You talked about, and we thank the brands and retailers and the BigCommerce customers, right? I do also want to thank the BigCommerce employees too, right?
Absolutely.
Those in support and engineering, right? For the 10th straight year, 100% uptime of the BigCommerce platform in delivering e-commerce for all of our brands and retailers on the platform, right? And we also saw our support calls go way down, right? The longest time that I think I saw somebody pick up the phone to answer a call was 18 seconds.
Oh, wow. That's
great. Which is amazing.
Wow.
So, kudos to all the BC folks out there as well.
I wait longer than 18 seconds to answer phone calls from friends. So I can imagine.
You answer phone calls?
On occasion, only if I've saved the contact info. But on the shopping side, so I'm not a great online shopper. I'll be the first to say that. I actually just like seeing how brands operate, because I'm just busy studying, and then I'm definitely that person who goes into the store and feels the thing and then leaves and then comes back and buys the thing specific. And I'm dating myself, I guess, in that regard, because my shopping experience is much like how it used to be when you wake up at 3 a.m. and go to the store.
Yeah.
I bought these Power Beats.
Nice.
So I've been wearing these around the office. If you've walked past me in the office and you're a BigCommerce employee, I'm sure you've seen me dancing at my desk. But it's just how I like to roll. And to be honest, I'm getting a kick out of Siri reading out Slack messages to me, which was an added entertainment benefit. But ultimately, I think Amazon in this case had run a 40% off program, right? And so for me, that became a no-brainer, 40% off. The one thing I wanted to touch on and get your feedback on too was delivery time.
Yes.
I got these delivered within an hour of the delivery window, and I think I had selected 5 to 9 p.m. or something like that, and it came at 4:55, and I wasn't even home yet, right? The package beat me to getting back to my house. Although I will say I did that because it was included. It was free.
Right.
I don't know. Personally, I didn't feel like I'm really looking for things to be delivered as fast as maybe the industry is telling me I should expect it to be delivered. Do you feel similarly?
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not necessarily looking for it. If I know that I want something delivered immediately, I'm always going to Amazon. If I'm shopping elsewhere, that's not necessarily my expectation, but I think that the pressure is there for other brands and retailers to keep up with that. So I think while maybe we're not demanding it so much, it's still, would we feel the same if it didn't come as quickly? If it didn't come as quickly, we might say, well, why doesn't it come as fast? So I think that's sort of the dynamic there. It's tricky.
I think it depends on the need.
Yeah.
Right. If you need something right now, go to the store and get it. Right.
Right.
And get it. if it's not in store, then are you comfortable with whatever the
window.
delivery time frame is? And to be honest with you, I think we've passed the cusp of needing it when we were in that COVID thing a few years ago, right? Where I just need it because I can't go out, I can't get it. So set the expectation. But I do think that what's needed, Melissa, is active, intelligent communication on the delivery status. I see some doing it very, very well. So, I'm from England originally. I brought back a case full of stuff with me over the weekend. Thank you, British Airways, for letting me drag it along with me. And then last night I was like, you know what? I really bread is different in the UK. I really fancy some bread rolls. There's a store called British Corner Shop. I was like, I could order that. I added some more Christmas goods, Christmas candy and stuff like that into it. I filled up enough for it to be worthwhile the $20 it's going to cost. I got a notification this morning that it's already been dispatched. It's coming via DHL, and I know that it's going to be at my front doorstep tomorrow. So there are consumable goods that I know are going to be delivered, and I care about those. And then going back to what I did purchase for my kid for Christmas, right? I know it's going to arrive. Now, there's a latency demand that I think shoppers always worry about of, well, I know I ordered it on Tuesday. I still haven't received it. Is it still going to arrive, right? Amazon's good at telling you where things are, but others may not be so good. So I think clarity for e-com managers is making sure that last mile that was talked about, or actually the last yard that is really talked about, is there, and also the returns. Because I'm still seeing people do I'm going to buy 3. I'm not saying you bought 3 of your Pink Floyd or whatever it was t-shirts.
Fleetwood Mac.
Fleetwood Mac, sorry, Fleetwood Mac. I am old, so I'm trying to go back to my heritage, right? But I'm still seeing people buy 3 of things just to see if they fit, right? And that is not good to your margin conversation earlier, right? Of the returns. So it is the shipping and the communication, and it's the returns capability, and that's why we're seeing technologies, AI, chatbots, and other things really taken over to help.
And I think food delivery does this really well, right? You get a text message, they're on their way. You get another message, they're close by, or it's been delivered or left off.
It depends who you're using.
True. I won't name names, but I will say, this past summer I lived in Medellin for a while and got to play with Rappi quite a bit. And it was really interesting because they actually show a person on a bike riding from the store to your house. You can follow them on the map, and you get text messages and a timer telling you how long it's going to take to get to your front door.
I love that.
Then you give them a code, and they acknowledge it, and then you get your products. And that's for groceries, it's for electronics, it's for all sorts of stuff. And so I think, to the conversation around expectations, you're right. Retailers are training consumers what to expect.
Exactly.
And then once it's been trained, untraining it gets really painful. And I think that might be kind of where a lot of folks are at right now.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm curious, when we made these purchases, did either of you order on mobile, or were you on desktop?
I was on mobile.
I was on mobile as well. And we saw for BigCommerce customers that mobile orders accounted for 38% of all orders during Cyber Week. And there was an increase in sales over the course of Cyber Week, up 13% year over year. I think on industry-wide, when I was looking at Adobe data, the increase was 10%, I believe, in mobile orders from last year. So it just makes me think too, like we saw a substantial increase in orders on Thanksgiving Day. And I can't help think of the ease of use with mobile commerce, and you're kind of hanging out with your family, trying to fill the time making purchases. So I think that all that all has just shown itself during the week too. So the other thing I was going to say too, when you were talking about your food orders and the great communication, it's interesting when we were looking at categories, food and beverage jumped up 20% year over year for BigCommerce customers over Cyber Week. Wow. Yeah, the other top categories were apparel and accessories, and then vehicles and parts. Yep.
So do you think those sound like needs?
Vehicles and parts.
Vehicles and parts does. Yeah.
I think the accessories and apparel, that's going to be more emotional.
Yeah. And food, I think, rides the line of need and want.
Right. Well,
Depends on how hungry I am. It can change
And if
quite a bit.
chocolate is categorized, as a
Exactly
food,
right. Yeah.
yes. Well, Matt, I want to dig in a little bit more to the omni-channel aspect, and maybe you can provide a little bit of insight on what you saw on the Feedonomics side. And also for the benefit of the audience who might not know, can you explain a little bit about Feedonomics too?
Yeah, absolutely. So Feedonomics is an enterprise data feed and syndication platform. So effectively what it does is it helps brands and retailers aggregate all of their product data from a variety of sources, could be an ERP or spreadsheet or BigCommerce website, brings it into one platform. You then apply transformers and other tools that optimize the product data, and then it sends that data to a destination, like a sales channel. So you may advertise on Google Ads, or you may send product data to Walmart. And in either case, you need to sync that data. So Google is just a syndication in that it's just an ad, whereas Walmart has orders and inventory and other changes that happen over time as people buy things from you. So you need a platform to keep all those updates going in real time. So we typically work with large enterprises, which is why a lot of this data is hyper relevant for us, because these are talking about really large brands doing really big things in the industry. And based on the data cut we got just the other day, we saw tremendous growth. So on Black Friday, year-over-year growth came in around 17%.
Nice.
And on Cyber Monday, it was closer to 22%. So our customers are seeing the growth, they're investing appropriately, they're optimizing their data for those right channels, and doing that on a regular basis. And we're seeing that in the margin and the revenue, which is great. Similarly, overall GMV increased as well. So tends to go hand in hand with order volume, but we saw a 28% increase year over year on Black Friday alone, and then another 22% on Cyber Monday. So tremendous growth. And I think a key point too is Feedonomics clients aren't just on BigCommerce, right? So we've got Magento clients, Shopify, Salesforce Commerce Cloud. So it's indicative of an industry-wide lift, especially in the enterprise space, including the Internet Top 1000. So big business is still doing really well, no surprise. And then as you can imagine, those emerging brands are still performing really well as well as they invest in those similar channels.
I think we should unpack that a little bit, because at the beginning of the conversation we talked about cost of advertising nowadays and ROAS, and this is exactly a great platform, Feedonomics, from BigCommerce, to help you improve that, right? Streamlining your product listings, getting it in front of the eyeballs of that consumer shopping on whatever channel they may be, right? The schemas for Amazon is different, for a Walmart is different, for a Target is different, Google, from a Google, whatever it may be, right? So you've got to make sure that you're getting the right Pink Floyd t-shirt, right, or whatever it may be, in front of the person for that emotional connection to go buy on the Instagram right now. And that's what you guys do extremely well. So it's something that any brand or retailer, regardless of being on the BigCommerce platform, should really consider for the future, right? What we've been talking about here doesn't go away. Consumers, shoppers are still going to be savvy. You're still going to have to get your product in front of the eyeballs of the person and turn them and convince them to buy from you right now. And doing that with streamlined, efficient product data, product listings is critical in today's e-commerce world.
You're leaving orders on the table if you're not optimizing per channel. It is that simple.
And it saves you money,
It
right?
saves you money. You can reinvest in other solutions. And if you had seen that shirt on Instagram, or if you hadn't seen that shirt, maybe you saw pants instead.
Right.
Maybe that SKU is mislabeled or miscategorized for the platform. You wouldn't have purchased, right? And so it's really about eliminating missed opportunities to drive conversion right where you are.
Or the color or the size, or V-neck versus crew neck, right? There's a lot of different things that go into those variants. So
Absolutely. So great progress all around. I think social continues to grow. So we saw, I think industry-wide data was roughly 8% of orders occurred on social media platforms. Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that may even be higher. I think for our BigCommerce customers, we saw 8%. And it's interesting too. I've talked about this recently in another interview, but just looking at social commerce, it is growing. It will take hold. Right now, it seems like it's mostly about product discovery, right? I have made purchases. So I have made social commerce purchases. This is catching on. But I think the thing for brands and retailers to keep in mind is that it is number one for product discovery. So that people are shopping there, whether or not they're completing the purchase through social media channels today, it's still necessary to be there.
Yeah, and I think in many cases it's it's actually inspiring people to think, oh, like actually I didn't think I needed this thing, or I didn't know I needed it till now. Now I know I need it, and TikTok's great for that, right? Because you're getting this feed that's for you. They got a really powerful algorithm that's delivering things in real time that really meant for Matt, right? In this case, one thing though I'll mention about marketplaces in general, TikTok Shop has started to emerge as a shopping destination.
I did want to ask you about that since you're closer to it than Megan and I are. Tell us a little bit about what you're seeing.
It's on a tear. I think the industry will say, or a lot of folks in the industry will say, well, TikTok is trying to compete with Amazon, and maybe from the perspective of yes, that's another place where people can check out. But the reason someone goes to Amazon is very different than the reason someone would go to TikTok.
Yeah.
And even the people might be different. So you may go to Amazon to buy a necessity, right? I need diapers. Are you going to go to TikTok to buy diapers? Maybe, maybe not. But you might discover bedazzled diapers on TikTok you didn't know you needed until right now for your gnome collection, right? It's possible.
I'm worried about your search history right now.
Yeah, this is not an intervention. We're going to leave that offline. But I think in general,
I'm not buying diapers.
Also noted. I think the point about TikTok Shop that's really interesting is they are aggressively trying to take market share wherever they can get it. To get brands to deploy their products there, but also to get consumers to shop there. And so one of the tactics they deployed was discounting up to 60% on the platform with an additional 20% available via coupon. That's actually TikTok spending its own money to bring down the cost of products, make the brands whole, encourage a consumer to buy, to start that relationship, right? And get people invested in TikTok as a shopping destination and one that inspires them to discover new products. So I'll go back to that just to underscore that point. It's where you shop. You might be in those places for very different reasons. And so it might be the same person, but the reason they're there is very different. Right. So encouraging the conversion requires a different strategy for TikTok than it might for Amazon or Walmart, something else.
100%.
Yeah. And it's not so much even about the channel. It's understanding your customer's behavior in the channel.
Exactly.
Why are they there? Don't over-index on the channel itself. Keep the focus on the customer and their behavior.
Exactly right.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. The holiday season is not over. There's still several weeks and into January. So what is our best advice to retailers to close out the season? Megan, what do you say?
Consumers are still expecting that personalized experience, right? So manage it effectively. Don't over-rotate on trying to convince you to buy something. Do it in a very judicious way to do it. When you're capturing that person at checkout, is make sure you have a very smooth, seamless checkout experience. And that's one of the great things that BigCommerce does offer on its platform is passwordless, one-click checkout with some of our providers from PayPal and Stripe and others. Is that ability to check out seamlessly. Make sure you think about the long tail, right? We talked about the shipping and also the returns. Offer the convenience, right? So they want that fair discount for a reasonable product and the convenience of shipping at some point. I need it tomorrow. It doesn't matter when it arrives, or you know what, I'm going to go in the store and do it. Keep at it. But I also think my advice for e-com marketing managers would be pull back a little bit, right? Look at what you did over the year in terms of discounting and availability, right? We've talked about margin is so key for many brands and retailers. But if you are wanting to have big blockbuster sales around Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and the week of, you've got to be able to offer those, right? And so be cautious about really looking at your inventory over a period of time, seeing how often you do discounts, what do those discounts look like, and then keying up for these holiday periods. But you're right, we're still in that holiday period. It's no longer a pyramid of that week. It's sort of flattened out over a longer period of time. And also look for key technologies, right? Whether it's from BigCommerce and Feedonomics that can give you that advantage, right? Consumers are adjusting because of their savviness, and therefore brands and retailers must adjust their tech stack as well to accommodate. So there's an accommodation from the brands and retailers, and there's an adjustment that's coming in there from the consumers and shoppers.
Matt, what are you most excited about for 2024 in terms of new tools and technologies?
Yeah, I mean, especially if you just went gangbusters last week, last month, and we'll do so through December, you're going to acquire a ton of new data, right?
Mhm.
Don't let that go to waste.
Yes.
Our teams talk a lot about that with our clients, where it's like, data is kind of like lettuce. You let that sit for too long, you don't want to eat it anymore, right? It's not going to be helpful and nutritious
like
for
this.
you. So I think to Megan's point, we're about to go into a really critical end to the holiday season. You also don't want to discount too much because you actually discredit your brand, right? You want to make sure you preserve what you actually are and represent. There's value there. But also remember, Jan 1 is also right around the corner.
Absolutely.
So, returns will be a big thing y'all got to deal with at the beginning of the new year. So to your question, invest in an omni-channel data strategy. So know who your customer is, what they like to do, where they're existing, why they do this versus that, and then lean on your teams, your tools, your services to perform into the new year. And I think I can't, advocate for that enough. Like we Feedonomics, my teams, we're here because our job is we're gold. We're incentivized to actually care and help our clients win.
Yeah.
We can proactively reach out, but we would love to get questions that say, hey, this is what I'm thinking about. What do you think Feedonomics, or what do you think BigCommerce? So if you're a brand or a retailer, you're not relying on your teams and your services that you're paying for, y'all need to change that like right now. I think this is like go time to invest in that, and then head into the new year with a plan in place and ready to make some investments in the appropriate tools to win next year as well.
Yeah, great advice. I echo the emphasis on returns. I'm always coming at it from a brand loyalty perspective. And I think it's just keeping top of mind that every single touch point, returns especially, are an opportunity to build brand loyalty by creating that seamless shopping experience. So fantastic. We've covered a lot. Any final thoughts? I mean, I think we all summed it up.
Focus on technologies that directly impact the customer experience. That would be it. That's why BigCommerce is here, is to make sure that you are building a great brand loyalty. I like your comment about data. I'm going to add some other things. Think about AI.
Yep.
Sure.
And how AI and ML are going to help you with that customer loyalty, and that also data identification to get more t-shirts sold for those people that obviously love the older brands. Bands, not brands.
Love a good t-shirt. Okay. Thank you so much for tuning in to our Cyber Week recap. And thank you, Matt and Megan, for your wonderful insights and advice. And good luck to all the brands and retailers out there and closing out the holiday season. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, y'all.